Hello everyone, once again thank you for joining me today. And so I'm continuing with the series of videos I'm making about AWS security services, and today I want to speak about another service called Firewall Manager. Now, Firewall Manager is an organizational wide security policy enforcement tooling. It has the reason why, if you've been following my video, is that you see that I talked about WAF, I talked about AWS Shield and AWS Web Application Firewall. Now, these two security services has a very vital role to play in Firewall Manager environment. Firewall Manager, it's a governance and management tooling that allows you to manage network directory policy across multiple AWS accounts. So this is not just like maybe it's enforcing maybe level 3, level 4, or level 7, policy, firewall policies or whatever, It allows you to do that at scale, across AWS account. For instance, if you have multiple AWS, going to be 20, 40, 50 in your environment, it becomes so more difficult and come with some level of technical depth for you to manage policies, across those multiple accounts. But Firewall Manager allows you to just have a single pane of glass where you can implement implement this, you can push it out. It's like a place where you can alter policies across AWS account OUs and push it out to other AWS accounts. So that is why I said it's a very important tooling for scaling security and policies within your AWS landscape. Now, one of the things I want to tell us is that it has to work with AWS organization. That shows that you must have AWS organization in your environment for this tooling to work. And there are, if you look at AWS security landscape, especially when it comes to firewall and your firewall very well, you see that when you implement AWS organization, you see that you can publish some SCP policies, SCP policies within that AWS organization. So when that is done, you can see other policies like EC2 policies, like tag policies, like S3 bucket policies. So you might be tempted to say that firewall policy, we also do that for you. I just want to make this clear that when you look at those policies that can be implemented through your AWS organization, there are ones that can be implemented through firewall, and that is Shield, AWS Shield policies, AWS WAF policies, and AWS network policies, network firewall policies. These are the three that you can implement with firewall policies. And I've said that it's centralized. It allows you to centralize your policy development, dynamic resource scoping by tagging. So it's scope policy by account, resource types, tagging. That shows that you can say, okay, I want this particular policy to be applicable to this account, to be applicable to this particular workload, across accounts. So those are the things that you can talk about. Now, this allows you to achieve what we call continuous compliance, auto remediation. You can build a policy, and you can say this policy should be, maybe for instance, every EBS should be encrypted. If there is any EBS that's created by a developer and is not encrypted, this particular tooling can automatically do a drift check and say okay, and attach that policy to that EBS, and make sure that there is a continuous compliance to make sure that okay, policies that have been deployed across these particular organizations are applied irrespective of that person wants to do it or the user wants to do it or not. So the other thing I want us to look at as capability within the Firewall Manager is the fact that it can policy types, which it can manage policy, like I said, within your WAF, within your Shield, within your VPC security groups. That's another one. And within your network firewall, I've mentioned that. Then it can allow us to manage a policy to in Route 53 DNS and some other best practices. So these are the areas, these are the things we call managed engines. That shows that within these engines, Firewall Manager can be used. WAF, Shield, security groups, network firewall, Route 53 policies or firewalls, all these things can be managed by Firewall Manager. Now, the other question I think it should be asked is that what is the relationship between Shield, WAF, and Firewall Manager? And that is what I've said, that this Firewall Manager allows you to scale the usage of Shield, scale the usage of WAF, scale the usage of network firewall, scale the usage of Route 53 firewall, and stuff like that. So that is what it does. So with that, that is the end of what I want to say about the Firewall Manager. And if there's another thing, I will come up with it for you. And guys, thank you again for joining me for this session. And thank you.